now. So if you have any last-minute comments about how the South will rise again, I suggest just waiting till the end of the session.
Ah,
I know. I hit your top 3 favorite talking points all in one fell swoop. And let me pull up this. So, you two have had some adventures already. Both of you have had time to discuss how you know your mutual friend, Eastman, and what you've chosen to decide with each other, how close of friends you are, things like that, are largely for you to decide. But when our campaign begins, you have both received a letter inviting you to visit a village of Vogler. And en route to that village, you're traveling using the main fairways, mostly for safety and protection. It's nice to go on roads where there are other travelers, things where Knights of Salamia, various army personnel are there to protect and keep everything safe, running smoothly. And your journey is largely uncontested. As you get closer to your destination, only a few days' travel separating you and your arrival, you camp for the evening, likely pulling off towards the side of the road and setting up your campsite so that you can get a good night's rest. Something unusual happens, something that is worthy of retelling. So give me 1 second.
mm-hmm.
It seems like you're having a dream. It seems like you're having a vision. It's up to you to really distinguish between the two. But in this, you stand, Akash, at the center of a forest clearing. Around you, you hear clashing steel echoes from the thicket beyond. The sounds of men and women fighting, dying, steel ringing out, armor being dented, and the smells that come with the recently deceased and the actively dying. As you look around, you realize piles of bodies cover the ground, but among them, one of the fallen clutches something against their chest. You're not sure what it is, but you feel the urge to reach for it, to maneuver yourself towards it. Before you can, the object begins to glow as you sort of shamble towards it. Now, what's most interesting about this is, Akash, to your knowledge, everyone around you is dead and dying. But Nova, you see the same clearing, and you watch as Akash slowly lurches towards the figure of this dying man. Unseen by him, or at least seemingly so, you see another man on the battlefield. He's tall, thin, and dressed in a noble's black finery, though it's obvious both him and his outfit have seen some wear. He moves towards a different body, one that's much closer to you, and you take notice of his hands, which are covered in blood. He reaches out towards this fallen man, and the body that you previously had thought was a corpse seems to recoil almost faintly. And he places his finger against the man's chest armor, where he draws a symbol. It is an elaborate and extremely complicated rune. As he writes the symbol, white and gold streaks seem to carve it into the man's armor. They glow faintly, and then the fallen man's movements cease. And he is still. It's about this time, this well-dressed black man starts to stand and make his way towards Akash. They both arrive at the man who at this point looks like he's praying. And you can see light that is just sort of peeling out between his fingers. Both Akash and this mysterious man reach out towards the praying man when you awaken. And it is morning. I ask you for the first time in this campaign, what do you do, if anything?
My first question is, do I recognize the rune that he wrote?
It's not one you've seen before, and in fact, it has a level of complexity that is well beyond anything you've learned up to this point.
I mean, I wouldn't say well beyond. Like, I'm pretty knowledgeable. I just probably don't remember it. Like,
It represents a level of complexity that you haven't seen since you took basics to runecrafting in your freshman year.
I mean, like, it's probably in the back of my brain somewhere. I'm sure. Like,
It might need a little refresher, but it was extraordinarily. It had more marks, more details, more individual. I don't even know what you would call that. The individual
Flashy
motions.
showmanship.
It was intricate. So, what do you folks do?
I think Akash is just like hasn't moved yet. Is just laying with his eyes open because Akash didn't see this other man, right?
No, to you, you were alone there besides the corpses. There was only one man you saw that was sort of just praying and their
Sure.
death throes. And that's the one you reached out towards when your dream ended.
Yeah.
so I think I immediately cast light to make sure that the scene around us is what we fell asleep to and not a dying battlefield.
Oh, yeah. And it's early morning rays are kind of starting to filter in through the thicket around you, and the light helps to liven up the place. It looks like when you fell asleep, except you can clearly see someone has been through your belongings. There is clear evidence that your packs have been opened, your food stores have been pilfered, and there's even a slight, subtle little trail of your belongings taking you further into the thicket.
He's just staring at me.
Yeah. I think first of all, like I've got light cast, and I'm gonna make it as bright as possible, right? Chasing away the shadows.
Akash is definitely wincing. It's very bright.
Yeah. Um, I assume we had someone at watch, right? We would have had someone at watch. I wouldn't have fallen asleep, so it was probably your watch.
It was just the two of us, and neither of us set a watch.
That doesn't sound right, but that's okay. That's okay. The important thing is that we're okay. You're okay. I'm okay, right? Yes.
Yes.
Did you hear anything?
No.
But how did you sleep through someone going through our stuff?
Soundly.
Is he like this in real life? Because he might be the worst.
What's that?
I asked if you were like this in real life, because you might be the worst.
Like what?
Like this.
Reticent, laconic. No. Out of the two of us, one of us is a morning person, and the other one is.
How
awful.
did you sleep? Soundly.
I've spent some days on the road with a mean girl that doesn't stop talking.
Yeah. I mean, I'm more of a queen bee. Thanks. Did you, this is odd, but did you have any weird dreams?
I dreamt of dying.
You dreamt that you were dying?
Not mine. Many others.
I count to 3 in my head, in common, in giant, and in elvish, just to make sure I'm
I start putting my stuff away, and
okay. Well, since you're not extra chatty this morning or ever, I dreamt that there was bodies and like a battlefield, like the kinds the bards talk about. And you got up and left me to defend myself and went over to some guy that was like shining and praying or something. I don't know. But then this like other guy showed up and he was like writing these really complicated runes. Like I definitely recognize them. I just need some time to remember them. But then like it was just I don't know. It was really dark and I couldn't see what happened with the runes. But then like you and that same guy were at the same body, and then I woke up and our stuff was gone through, and you were sleeping soundly through your watch, and I just. I mean, does that any of that ring a bell?
I had the same dream, but I did not see this man with the runes.
Like you just didn't notice him, or you didn't understand the runes? Because it's okay if you didn't understand them; they were really complicated.
Nobody else was there but me.
But there was another.
I mean, besides the bodies. So many bodies.
So that tea you made last night, there wasn't anything in it, right?
No, I ran out of that last week.
That explains last week.
Somebody wants us to go farther in to get our stuff.
Do you think it was the guy?
I think it was somebody. So, we abandon our things and move along the road. We go into the trap knowing it's a trap. But obviously, they're going to know that we know it's a trap.
Nova gets a little confused face, trying to follow the logic.
Just follow me.
Can I get my stuff first?
We're going to get our... You're following me to get our stuff.
Well, I mean, why didn't you just say that? Like, I'm happy to follow along your plan.
Which? Yeah, you still think I'm the worst now?
I have a clear and intentional bias.
Well, yeah, but Sam's the best, and she's your favorite, and we all know that.
I mean, second favorite. Like, honestly, like, Yami...
Well,
have to
Yami
understand, like, how disenfranchised he is as a person. Like, he needs the extra attention.
Yummy.
Like when you guys come home to the dogs, right? Like, okay, obviously you have dogs that are more playful and more excited to see you, but, like, there's one that needs the attention the most at any given moment.
Yummy is that dog.
Yami is that dog that just, man, life has been mean to him. Anyways. Are you guys heading towards the very obvious path into the thicket?
Yeah, the trail of breadcrumbs that's been left behind.
Yeah.
What's that?
If you're ready, I was going to say that you begin to follow these breadcrumbs. They lead you deeper and deeper into the thicket, and very quickly, the ground around you becomes overgrown. It starts to rise up to your knees and then finally to your waist. And all at once, there is a perfect clearing. Inside, at the center of it, you see the majority of the items that you had left behind, or that had been taken from you, rather. And among them is something that you do not recognize as yours. It is an amulet. And at that moment, you have this recollection from your dream or vision the night before of what that man in his dying throes was clutching, what he was praying to. There's an amulet. It has a very clear symbol etched in iron across it, and an amber background. It looks like a tree. A tree with distinctive swirling leaves to make up its canopy, stylized. And as before, you feel drawn to it.
Do I recognize the symbol at all?
Make a religion check.
Or does the school person recognize this? Oh, no.
And if you have a good view of it as well, Nova, feel free to do the same.
The school person prefers to be called a scholar or initiate,
Mhm.
and she will definitely do a religion as well. By a whole 1 point. Oh, hey.
Well, in
Not
fact, it is enough. You've definitely seen this symbol before, Akash, but you have difficulty placing it. Nova, expertly and without any hesitation, you identify it as the
I
holy
feel the
symbol.
bias.
What's that?
That's it. I feel the bias.
You identify it as the holy symbol, the representation of a god. The god, and I might have to look this one up later, Zivelin.
Ziblin is a tree?
Their holy symbol is.
Okay. Because I know there was a nature... Sorry, took me a second, because I know there was a nature moon.
Can I do
nature moon
another religion or a history check to see if I remember or know anything about that god?
Now, just correct me if I'm wrong, Zivelin was the god that you decided on, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just...
That-
That was the god of wisdom. There was a different one that was like a nature.
Yeah.
So it just took me a second.
That's what Blake picked.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
just
Yeah, no, you're good, Tony. That was me misunderstanding, not you.
making sure.
Yeah.
All right. Yes. In fact, if you give me a moment.
You think we've talked enough that I know that's your god?
I don't know that's my god.
Oh,
Yep.
got it.
So
Let's
probably not.
see if this will pace the way it should.
Ooh,
Neat.
yeah.
Okay. So this is just kind of in our belongings.
Yeah, definitely not yours. Like, you've never seen this before. Well, you've seen the symbol, and maybe if she points it out to you, you can kind of place it. Oh, yeah, that's right. But no, this is not something you've seen before your vision last night.
Okay. I think I go to hand it to, as I'm kind of separating stuff, I go to hand it to Nova, assuming it's hers. As she points out, like, oh, that's the amulet to the god of Zivelin. Oh, okay, here you go.
When you touch the amulet,
Uh-huh.
there is a pulse, and it is powerful, but seemingly doesn't affect you, Akash, in any way. Nova,
Okay.
you are thrown backwards, and it's only with your years of superior acrobatic instruction that you're able to keep your feet. But the thicket around you, the undergrowth is just blown over. There's cracking of bushes and shrubbery. The grass itself is layered over like somebody has finally combed it.
All right, I'm picturing Nova like face down in the dirt, popping up, looking around, and like, I landed.
Starts doing push-ups like I was just down here for some morning activity.
More like I like landed on my face and then like somersaulted up like a world. Like,
Yeah.
Like, oh.
9.5 from the Russian judge.
I'm going to kind of dust myself off a little bit, dust the hair, make sure everything's okay and in order, and then stand up and go, well, clearly it's cursed.
Yeah, it checks out.
When you say this, there is a decided echo mirroring your words. And you realize the underbrush that has been cleared away from this pulse has given way to an obvious, decrepit old ruin. Previously covered by moss and the various foliage were stone pillars, walls, and you see surrounding the base of the tree, the largest tree near you, giving your morning this appropriate amount of shadow, there is an opening, like it is the roof to a stone structure.
That's something you don't see every day. I will kind of go to the entryway and see if I can sort of peek around inside. waving for Nova to stay kind of behind me.
It's difficult for you, being that you don't have any form of dark vision.
Me with 300 feet of dark vision?
How did you get that 300 feet of dark vision?
Twilight Cleric?
What's a cleric?
I see.
So you, without any dark vision to peer into the darkness, it's difficult to see. But fortunately for you, either between her light or the morning rays, you see the large tree that is growing up through these ruins. It looks similar to the one on the amulet you have just found. And they're just very faint little streams of light that are polishing the base of this tree so that you can make out some of its details as it roots itself in the structure.
I will enter the structure and approach the tree, especially seeing the similarities between it and the amulet.
You begin to approach, and Nova, are you following behind him?
I'm not super close. There was a stain in my cloak, and I'm trying to like get it out while like trying to maintain light for him to see, because the poor guy doesn't even have a match on him.
Fair enough.
But not super close.
So you get a little distance behind him, an appropriate amount of distance for most traps, I would say. Fireballs, various spells like that. But Akash, you make your way forward, and you see by the rays of her light that there is a statue carved entirely of wood, and it juts out of the base of the tree, almost as though it was designed to look like it was part of the tree. But it's broken, and it's missing pieces. Vaguely, it resembles a torso that seems to be breaching out of the bark and forming itself into a dignified and regal man. But there are pieces missing. The jaw, one of the ears, the various strands of hair seem to have eroded over time, and most of the chest cavity is gone. You even see little symbols, like maybe something has used this thing, like a termite has used it for food.
Are pieces of it laying around at all, if I look around?
You see different wood than you would expect to see from like twigs, things like that, native to the foliage, and you can surmise that this probably was parts of the original statue that has fallen and decayed.
But so this is more of like a decay and less of somebody broke this thing.
It definitely looks that way. It looks old, and you can in fact see as her light gets a little bit closer, there's a mossin texture over one side of it.
Okay. I think I'd walk around the tree, kind of, contemplating this, like, something obviously brought us here. Something intentionally, like Akash's life to this point has been mostly seeing the negatives, but I think there's also always been, fate is the wrong word, but, if you've read like the Gunslinger, the Dark Tower, like the Ka, like it's just always everything kind of follows the path, and so something has brought him here for a reason, and I think he is trying to sort of contemplate that and see if there's any other obvious signs of why he would be brought here around this tree.
So it's a big tree. It's probably got a 10-foot diameter to it. So it's definitely big enough to obscure you, and you start to walk around the base of the tree. And you start to get into the dimmer parts where there's just no light coming from her as it's blocked by the tree itself. But you keep your hand probably close to the tree or to the outside wall so that you don't stumble and you don't lose your way. But you quickly step into pure darkness. And another moment goes by, you take another step, expecting to emerge and see the light on the other side so you can continue your journey around, but another step leads to another step. There is no end to the darkness. Nova, you see as Akash starts to trace around the base of the tree and works his way to the back side of it, and you expect him to come back after a few seconds. Then 10 seconds. Then 15. He's not back.
Akash?
Can I hear her?
You hear it. You hear her call for you, but it's faint. It's distant. It's not as distant as 30 feet as she was from you before this began. It sounds almost like you're at the bottom of a well. The sound doesn't have a direction to it. It just comes down on you.
Akash? This is one of those street games you like to play. It's not funny. We've talked about this. In society, you don't just disappear to go do stuff. You communicate with your companions.
If I turn around, can I see the light behind me at all?
No.
Okay.
In fact, the path at your feet doesn't even seem to be strewn by rubble or tree roots or anything like that. The only thing that hasn't changed is your connection to the tree itself.
I think Akash will look behind him, see that the light is missing, and then face as best back forward. You know, in the pitch black, it's tough, but with the tree there to kind of orient, right? You at least know what's left. I think he'll just. You brought me here. What for?
This isn't funny.
And I will keep going.
You keep walking. Your feet have a path to set on. Your hand can follow the guidance of the tree, but it seems to be a circle that you follow infinitely. There's no change, nothing to see. You still faintly hear the sounds of Nova, slightly muted and dulled as she talks more and more about your peasant traditions.
I don't understand these street games. They're not funny.
Nova, what are you doing?
I mean, I'm going to wait for a little bit. Like, you know, he's done some odd stuff during our time, and he tends to kind of just disappear and go on his own little adventures every once in a while. That sometimes he tells me what he did, and sometimes there's no explanation. So I'm gonna wait a little bit, but after like 5 to 10 minutes, I will probably start. I'll probably try to go around the other side, like, you know, to meet him halfway kind of thought process.
That is easy enough to do. And 5 to 10 minutes passes, and exactly as you expected, there's no sign of Akash. So you start to lean forward and then finally take a few steps in. And as the light that you are casting rises up around you, it starts to give more details to the walls of these ruins. And you can see markings in them. Moon silver, almost mercurial symbols light up, reflecting your light.
Do I recognize these symbols? Like, is it a language? Is it runes?
Make a... Let's see. Make a spellcasting ability check. So a charisma check.
Can you... Yep, okay. Oh, shit.
Most of them have lost some of the very important details because of the nature of the ruin falling away. So whatever was carved in here might have been clean letters at one point, clean runes at one point, but now they have gashes into them, so they don't look quite right. But roll an additional d8. You see a rune that stands out, and it looks incredibly similar. Like a very simplified version of the one you saw the stranger in your vision scribing. It's not as advanced. It's maybe a fifth of the total symbol, but you can see how its pattern sits in the other one. And it is a rune that you decipher as death. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Akash, this isn't a game anymore.
Akash.
Mm-hmm.
You're beginning to wander around this tree in perpetuity, and very faintly, you begin to see traces of light. You begin to see the path that you were walking inside this ruin. You see the walls around you as they light up with scrawling. But it's so faint, it's not like they're lit at all. As you continue to revolve, they become more and more clear, more and more obvious. Until finally you see something that contrasts it. You see familiar light coming from the sky above and your friend's spell. And when you emerge into that room, you're seeing it all over again for the first time. Your vision has expanded so tremendously. The light that she has brought in here is almost blinding for a moment. But the corners of the room, the details on the walls, the runes that she is starting to investigate as you come around the quote-unquote corner of a circular object.
Sure, yeah.
It all is visible to you and wasn't before. And you have a gorgeous detail to it. And you're back where you started.
We'll take a moment to take that in. Look down at the amulet. Huh. Is that why you brought me here? This? To see more?
Do I see him now?
And if there's no response, he'll kind of step out behind, quietly, very quietly behind Nova, and just go, boo.
Make a stealth check.
Mm-hmm.
You probably could have heard him if you weren't busy shouting at him for being so inconsiderate.
So, like you have to learn in polite society that we communicate, and when we communicate... Oh, okay. Alright, we've talked about this. I will put a fucking bell on you if I have to. We're fine. Did you fucking touch anything? Nope, don't tell me. I don't care. I just want out of here. Just... I'm realizing that you haven't had much education, much in the way of formal education. That's not your fault. It's just your upbringing. But this place reeks of death. It smells of death. It spells of death. I don't think we should be in here anymore.
I'll kind of turn my back to her and look around the room, and
You cast your eyes back at the tree, looking around the room, and you see that the lichen, sort of moss expanse that has covered this statue has grown.
has grown.
Yes, it's like the hollows, the worn away parts of the statue at the base of the tree have filled in. And you see what the statue must have looked like when it was whole. It seems to depict a stately man with very regal features, and in words that you have difficult describing, you can tell there is something preserving about this man. Something that seeks to temper things, to provide a healthy balance and a wisdom to their actions. You don't know how you know that. It's not written anywhere. There's no one who's had a face that charismatic before, but here it is. It's just something you know when you look upon their visage.
Why did you bring me here? Who are you?
I didn't bring you here. We were following a trail.
Not you, him.
The statue creaks. You hear almost like a popping, like a joint popping in the wood. and it bends and maneuvers awkwardly like a puppet.
I give a very dignified squeak.
The mouth doesn't articulate, but nonetheless, you hear it. You hear a voice that says, "There is much planned for this world, and my wisdom has been absent from it for too long. I brought you here to serve as my kin, to carry my blood in this, my ultimate agenda. Simply carry my voice and share it with the world."
What would I care what happens to the world?
The ruins around you begin to shake. And all at once, there is a cracking sound of stone. The walls give in. The ceiling comes crashing down. The faint light that was visible from where the tree had grown through the roof of these ruins is obscured. But as these walls tilt inwards and fall towards you, they are all caught. They lean against the tree's base and create an envelope, a tent of stone walls that do not crush you, but instead protect you. And the voice says, "Wisdom provides balance, and balance protects you and others."
On that we can agree. What do I call you?
The voice... I'm actually going to look it up real quick. I hate to break the moment, but there's a pronunciation guide here.
During all this, does Nova see and hear these same things?
In fact...
Akash just standing there drooling, staring at the statue.
In fact, you do.
Oh.
I am Zevelin. Once known as a god, now only known as old.
Asked for proof, but I think you've given it to me.
You will find more to come. For there is a threat to this world that you must temper. Do this for me, and I will see that you know the true story of Akash Moonshadow.
All things serve the path. I will too. Yes. Okay.
Statue,
You've been putting... Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
The statue is still, and the radiance from around the room has filtered out. Only your enhanced senses and whatever light Nova has maintained for you seems to remain.
Well, that's one way to start the morning off. Back on the road then. Nova, your mouth is open.
I'm processing.
What's there to process?
What's there to process? You mean other than the fact that that the gods don't even exist, suddenly just like presented this whole thing, and then he said some things that were all very mysterious and full of words, and definitely confirmed some of my theories about what's going on in the world. But that's
All things follow the path. Our path brought us here. Our path takes us out. Your mouth is open again.
processing.
I just walk past her.
When you step outside, there is still a dim daylight. But you see it is no longer the rays of morning, but the rays of twilight. Your belongings are still left in the thicket for where you had found them. And otherwise, it seems the day has gotten away from you.
Is it just me, or did time pass a little differently there?
That doesn't make sense. That how would that happen? And I don't have any context for any of this. There was nothing. They didn't talk about this in school. The gods don't. They're fairy tale. I don't know what just.
Well, maybe I wasn't out of that tea after all.
Yeah, she needs a juice box right about now.
Maybe it was all leftover psychedelics. Shared hallucination. Don't you always talk about shared hallucinations? I've heard you talk about shared hallucinations at least 24 times, and I've known you a week.
Just the best way to get clarity sometimes on what's happening in the world, okay? It opens your eyes to oh my gosh, we totally had shared hallucinations. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, that makes sense because he didn't say anything about me. It was just about you, and that wouldn't make sense if that was real. Like, it would at least.
Still walking.
Wait,
letting her
stop.
follow.
I'm not as fast as you.
That's sometimes the point.
You head back out, gather your belongings, and can find your way quickly to your campsite, which is largely there, still ready for you. You can choose whether or not you want to travel through the evening since you are well rested, or if you'd like to camp again and head out in the morning. Decisions you will have to discuss among yourselves. But, Akash,
Mm-hmm.
you very quickly realize you see the world differently than you did before.
Mm-hmm.
And a little experimentation for the remaining days of your journey will reveal that, well, Nova's not the only one who has kick-ass wiggly finger mojo. As you now have access to your cleric skills and abilities.
Rad.
Unfortunately, this is a balanced and tempered reaction to what has caused you to set out on this journey. Your reason for traveling to the town of Vogler, is because in days prior you received a letter requesting you to attend the funeral of one of your oldest friends, Eastman.
No.
I wouldn't worry about it. I think this is the 3rd time I've heard of his funeral.
Oh, okay.
He just likes to hear people talk about him.
Oh. Kind of an interesting idea, actually. So, like, everyone feels real bad that they're gone, and, like, anything they're mad at him goes away because then they're just so happy that he's alive?
I think you're taking the wrong
No, I
message
like
here.
this.
No, I think maybe you misunderstood me.
I hope to God that's your story of Eastman. It's like, honestly, I didn't think the guy was dead. Expected him to come out of a closet somewhere. Just boogity boogity, I'm still alive.
You poke the body 4 or 5 times, like, all right, buddy, joke's over.
Unfortunately, that is the end of our prelude here, but assuming that Yami is ready, we can start things off with the city of Vogler on Wednesday.
Huzzah!
Hey.
That was awesome. Thanks, man.
was more late than I was. Sorry.
Sorry, say again.
Sorry that I was so late on my backstory and everything.
No, you were not. Like we always, I always knew, and that's what I tried to put out there was, it would be a rush on everyone, not just myself, to have everything ready by Wednesday. And obviously, if we do it, then great. But I don't want to guilt anyone to feeling like, oh man, everything has to be done, or else we don't get to play, and it's my fault. No, it's not like that. If it happens, great. If not, then blame Yami.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
It's not us now. That's the important part.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, Tony.
I got chills
Thank you.
a couple different times. So, super excited.
Well, good. I hope that here soon, as we start the game, you guys will have more fun, and we'll see you Wednesday.
I need to figure out what my character sounds like, because I was all over the map.
Same.
Yeah.
That's all right.
Yeah, you had it. It was fun.
For a minute, I thought you were going to do like a New Zealand accent.
Me?
No, Nova.
Yeah. No. I was debating kind of a valley girl, but I didn't know if I would hate myself for keeping it up. So, well,
it's very in character though. You didn't care how we felt about it. You just wanted to know how you felt about it.
Yeah. Yeah, she was channeling her character,
Fair enough.
I'm the main character, and you're all just
The Scooby Gang.
yeah.
So, all right. Well, thanks for making time, and
No, it was a lot of fun, man. Thank you.
you're welcome. See
If
you guys.
you need anything else, just let us know. Or if you need any corrections on anything we were putting out there or whatever, just let us know.
No, it's good. I think we're pretty much good to go. So I'll see you guys on Wednesday.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Yep. Have a good one, guys.
Hey.
Bye.
Bye.